Okay, it's time for podcast 12, number 12. And today's topic is going to be quite interesting, I think. Um, as always, I am joined by Eat Your Meats, Highly and Pickles, and Snazzy. Thank you guys for
Hello.
joining.
Hello.
Um, today's topic is the greater Twitch community and being a part of, Twitch in general as a streamer and how the impact, positive, negative, um, being a part of the Twitch culture, how that affects your stream. And I think this is actually a pretty straightforward one, but also I've talked to some people here and there that were, they disagreed with the concept of this really has to do with being a viewer, right? So as streamers, how do you guys feel about this? Being a viewer. You guys all obviously watch streams, right? Snazzy, let's start with you.
I I don't see how you could be a streamer without being a viewer. Or let me rephrase. I don't know how you could be a interesting and relevant streamer without being a viewer. Because if you're not watching what people are watching, if you're not seeing what people enjoy to watch, how will you then present yourself in a way that makes you attractive to potential viewers? Right? It's it, it's the thing of like learning something in a textbook versus actually doing it. Like you need a practical experience, and what better way to judge your own content than by watching what other people are doing. I'm not saying, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying copy people. I'm not saying emulate what everyone else is doing, but just watch the dynamics between streamer and viewer. And that's I think that's very important to your own personal development as a streamer. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, let's go to Pickles.
I pretty much would echo the same thing that Snazzy just said. Like, how can you know how the site works, how the culture works, if you're not like involving yourself in it, right? Like, if you're not watching streams, how can you build a stream that people would want to watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I pretty much just echo what Snazzy's saying in that regard.
Okay, Meats, you want to give us your take?
I don't know. I'm a viewer first, frankly. I love watching Twitch, and I think that really feeds into my love of streaming. And I do think that being a part of other people's communities gets you a feel for how other people's communities works. It gives you inspiration. You don't want to take things directly from them, but it also gives that sense of networking and community that happens more organically by being a viewer and being a good viewer, because then it gravitates people to maybe come check out your stream too. So there's this like organic self promotion that happens. That's not my primary purpose, but it's certainly a like secondary benefit, and it does give you a chance to see what's going on in the world, and if you're not interested in watching streams, why are you streaming?
True.
Why are you making content that you yourself do not like?
Yeah, if you're like, oh, watching streams is stupid, but watching my stream, that's a different thing. What?
Yeah. I definitely think being a viewer is of primary importance for most people. I mean, obviously there's going to be an exception here and there where somebody who literally just doesn't watch any streams at all and just streams somehow kills it and has success. And I do know a couple of people, one in specific, I won't name him, but we've had conversations around this topic where he actually... So just to play devil's advocate, I guess, I'll take his perspective. He says you don't have to be a viewer. You don't have to watch streams, Twitch streams. You can just focus on your content and focus on what you're doing and continue doing what you're doing and ignore being a viewer. And I really agree more with you guys. I don't know how, really, I don't know how to like agree with that perspective at all, because I think you're really doing yourself a disservice by not watching any streams, and you're also it's going to be impossible for you to network. This is one of the key things that we're going to talk about probably towards the end. But if being a viewer has a ton of benefits. First of all, the amount of times I've been in a really great like a stream I've enjoyed being in, not even a big stream, like 30 viewers or less, and they did something that I was like, that's awesome, that's great, it made me smile, and it inspired me to want to like do that stuff or suggest things like that to my clients, to streamers that I know that are struggling with things. There was some streamers that had these really great channel point redemptions that I was like, oh wow, that's great. That's how you do channel point redemptions. I hadn't seen channel point redemptions done really well until I saw it here, and they're just stupid and fun, and maybe a graphic is involved. You're sitting in your car, you're rolling down the window, whatever it is. There's inspiration that I think you can find by watching streams and finding streams that you like. So you're really doing yourself kind of a disservice by not taking part in that aspect of being a viewer. You don't even have to be in the chat at that point. You're just watching the stream. But going beyond that, hanging out as a chatter, what are some like? Well, maybe let's just stick with watching streams. What other value do you guys find in watching a stream, or is it just that mostly just like the inspiration?
I think it's also you get to kind of you get a sense of what the community overall is kind of like about, because like communities change, right? And like Twitch as an entire medium, like you're not making the same jokes you were making 2 years ago usually, like, right? Like things change over time. There's different things that viewers want, and it's also it just gets you a feel for the thing. For me would be like if you go to a stream and you as a viewer interact with a streamer and you're treated a certain way, whether positively or negatively, you can kind of then go back and say like, well, this guy ignored me, and he just made me feel like crap. I shouldn't do that to somebody in my stream. Or oh, this streamer pointed, this streamer pointed me out, but in a positive way. Here's how I can like make a spin on that in my own stream and like point out people in a positive way. It's just like knowing the lingo, knowing like the general, like reading the room, I guess. Reading the room, but like Twitch as a whole. Like you're not gonna get that unless you watch streams, right? So like,
right, there's a general like Twitch culture as well with the emotes, the jokes. If you don't watch streams, you're not really ever going to get that. And new viewers are going to come into your channel, and they're going to say something and sarcastically and use a kappa. If you don't know that kappa is used to like say, "Hey, I'm just being sarcastic."
I was actually struggling not to use kappa as an example, but like kappa, yeah, like if you
lot
don't
of-
know what kappa and lol are, like, come on,
It's a
what
good.
are you doing?
Yeah, it's a good one for. A lot of new streamers don't know kappa has like this meaning of I'm being sarcastic. I'm just making a joke. Don't take me seriously. And when you're not connected to the meta, I guess the Twitch, these viewer,
A meta.
the culture of Twitch, what you're gonna miss out on these things in your own chat when people stop by, and then people aren't going to feel like you get Twitch, I guess, and the viewers are on Twitch. Most of the viewers are like they're Twitch people. They're a part of that culture, and they carry it around with them.
You'll come off as awkward and like somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. It's like
True.
And yeah, like that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. It's not doesn't automatically mean you fail at Twitch, but it's like
There's
you
that
said, you're doing
disconnect, though.
yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, because like I probably have mentioned it like every podcast at this point, but there's a level of like connectivity that you have with the people in chat. The people in chat are viewers, and if you are not also a viewer, you're not gonna be able to relate to them on that level. Because like there is the Twitch culture as like a whole, and then there are subsets of different cultures within that, like
True.
speed runners and challenge runners and like the shit posters and the this and the that and whatever, and you don't, if you just go in and do your own thing, you don't know where you belong, and you choose not to find where you belong, you're limiting what you could do on stream with your stream and stuff like that.
Being a part of chat, so you're starting out as a viewer, right? Hanging out on people's streams, but once you become a part of chat too, that connects you in a deeper way to like these communities. And just being a good viewer, like a good community member of someone else's stream, is actually a good way to kind of get exposure for your own stream. You don't want to go in with that as your goal. Like, this is a really hard thing, I think, for people to balance, because I've told people you need to go hang out in streams. You need to go find streamers you like and become part of people's communities and go support people, hang out with them. And they're like, oh, I don't want to do it because like then it's like I'm fishing for viewers and I'm trying to take people's viewers, and I'm like, no, that's like a really negative way of approaching this. Like, it's okay to be realistic with the fact that you hang out in people's chats. If you're a musician and you go play with another band or you go watch another band's show, you're supporting them, and that's okay. And it's also okay to go up to the band afterwards and be like, hey, my band would love to play with your band. Like, you don't, shooting the random email off to the band and never going to their show is less likely to get you a connection. And maybe that band's fans would like your band because you're similar. That's okay to know that, but you don't want to go in. I think the problem is if you go in and you're trying to be like all about you. You don't want to go in and be all about you. That's where I think a lot of people either they make this mistake where they're just they think they have to push their stream so hard, and so they know they're going to go hang out in people's chats and they're like, oh, I stream, and I've streamed this game, and like whatever it is. It's like too much about me and my stream instead of being more about being supportive, being a supportive viewer, becoming part of the community. Those people will find out that you stream because they get to know you, and that's the best way to get people to hang out with you and become a viewer of your content. Right? Like, you don't want to go in and fish for people. It's not about that. It's about creating like a deeper community connection and relationship with the greater Twitch viewership. Do you guys have any thoughts on this?
100% agree. I absolutely agree. And, there's a couple of really good points that you brought up there too about that, the networking and the enrichment. But I also think that it informs your experience as a viewer, because ultimately, what is our goal as a streamer? Frankly, it should be to entertain the people that you're streaming to. So if you don't have that experience as a viewer, you may not really know what's entertaining and what's not, right? You may be getting a kick out of what you're doing, and people are like, what are you doing? So it really helps you to get that feeling of being a viewer, right? And I think that there's a lot of ways of being a good community member, but also being like a good networker, right? So I almost never raid and run, right? I try to raid into a stream and spend some time with them, get to know them. I find they're much more likely to raid you back at some point, drop a follow, make that connection. So there's a lot of points with which you can really become that supportive community member. And then organically, yeah, it comes up that you stream or you've played this game or, those types of things. And that's so important, is to really realize that the entertainment is the reason why people come to your stream. So having a better, like, more data points, more data points to pull from and to experience to inform what you want to create as an entertainer.
Yeah,
we were actually discussing this right before we started, but like that fear of like, am I like not cool anymore? Have I missed like the cool kids are saying and doing? Like, it's kind of like that, but not really like that. It's like, like, am I in touch with what's going on in the broader community, right? And if I'm not, like, is that beneficial to me, right? Because you can make an argument that standing out and being out of touch is a way to attract people, because like, oh, look at this goofy guy who doesn't seem to know all the norms that we all know, right? That could potentially be bait for an audience, but like, I just think you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah.
I'm adding that to my phrase pile.
What's that saying?
What's that saying? Yeah.
Well, it's like you go in to get a tattoo and your tattoo artist doesn't have any tattoos. Do you trust him to give you one? Like, that's
I
weird.
mean, unless he has like a giant portfolio, right? Like, oh, look at all
I
these.
mean,
tattoos I have.
even then,
You're like
I
a
agree
hairdresser with
it's
bad
weird,
hair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
the hairdresser.
You're like,
with bad
no,
hair.
no, thank you.
Yeah, it's true. So one of the things too, so I've talked to a handful of smaller streamers struggling to grow their stream over the years, and I always ask them this question: are you a viewer? Who do you watch? What streams do you like? And they tell me, I don't really watch that many streams. Like, not even like smaller streams. They'll have like one person that's also struggling and maybe like kind of boring. And I'm like, so why do you expect people to come hang out and watch and support your stream when you're not doing that for anyone else? Like the you're more likely to have people come and support you. It sounds like follow for follow or something, but it's not really a follow. I'm not talking about like an inauthentic way to grow. I'm talking about it's almost like hypocrisy. You don't want to be like, oh, why does no one watch my stream? How come people don't like my stream, or nobody's sticking around and people aren't following, people aren't chatting? And I'm like, well, what streams do you go watch and hang out with? Like, you want people to do something for you that you literally never do for anyone else. It's almost like a lead by example kind of thing.
It's one of those things where like Twitch and like real life, or offline life, or whatever you want to call it, intersect. Where like think about it this way: if you had friends offline, right, and if you only hang out, or if you only go to like only call those friends when you need something, like how are they going to respond positively to that, or are they going to respond if you legitimately want to hang out with them because you enjoy their company, right? It's that kind of mentality where like if you're a not even I wouldn't even say a good viewer. I would say maybe active or a participating viewer. Even if you don't watch all the time, but if you participate in chat, if you make your presence known, if you befriend the streamer, right, that's going to come back to you, assuming that the other streamer that you're befriending is not
genuinely
some sort
too. Yeah.
of who ignores all his viewers and doesn't like anybody. Right? Unless you're trying to court somebody who's antisocial, right?
Yeah.
It'll eventually come back to you, because like usually those people are also viewers, and like they'll sit down one night and go like, oh hey, this is that's the one guy I followed 3 years ago, let me go watch a stream. I've had that happen. I've had that happen where other streamers would come to my stream like oh yeah, no, I meant to check you out before, here I am. It's like, oh cool, welcome in. It's like
Yeah.
so it's weird to me when people say like, oh, I don't watch too many streams, because like I have a Twitch tab open at all times, and usually more than one.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah. Same.
And
I'm-
time shouldn't be an excuse either. I feel like if you are struggling getting viewers and you're spending all this time streaming and doing all this other stuff, then maybe you need to stream a little bit less and spend a little
yeah.
time consuming. No, I mean it.
No,
right?
that's so
No,
true.
it's-
That's
it's
so
I
true.
agree.
So
I
true.
agree.
Yeah.
It's like when people say, "Well, I put so much time and effort into something," and it's like, "Well, it's not working."
Only
So
one
it's-
piece.
It's not the time that you put into it
Yeah.
that matters. It's what happens. Right?
Yeah, this is always a part of the discussion too. Is I try to tell these people they're still in like their phase 1 of their stream, and they're like, "Well, I've been streaming for 3 years. I'm not a brand new streamer." I'm like, "No, if you're at like 0 to 10 viewers, you're still at this like early phase. It doesn't matter if you've been doing it for 20 years. What you have to do to make your stream grow and work is the exact same thing as if you had started today or yesterday, as it is 6 years from now. If you're still doing the same thing, the things that need to change are the exact same things that need to change. Like you should become a viewer. You should go be part of people's communities, and don't do it to try to grow your stream. Do it because it has greater benefits to you in the connections that you're making with people, and that if it's really all about motivation. People will see right through you if your motivation is you and your stream. But if you let go of that and you just go and be a viewer and try to hang out with people and just be supportive. That's where you start. You want to go in as that as and trying to remove the hypocrisy, I guess, from the situation of just streaming all the time. And you're right. The amount of times that I tell these people they need to do this, they're like, I don't have time. I'm like, you streamed for 12 hours yesterday to 3 people. Stream for 10 hours and hang out for 3 in someone else's stream.
Exactly.
Well, that's like saying like I play basketball every day and because I want to get better at basketball, but then like you like but I can't like then I can't play like in the actual game because my knees are sore, right? And it's like come on, you gotta take a break at some point, Like this is a terrible analogy, but like just follow me on this.
I'm just imagining you playing basketball now.
We'll just add this
Can't-
one
no,
to your
I
list of
used to.
phrases.
I used to when I was younger. I no longer play basketball. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I can't imagine me playing basketball either.
Oh man, yeah. This is.
But yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
just good to be a part of a community, just period. Because like we can keep talking about like the benefits and like the connections that it makes, and the idea, the hope is that it just comes naturally, right? Like you'll just be part of a community, which is usually an intertwining community between a bunch of different streamers, and you have all the same friends and all these different channels and stuff, and then some friends that are only on one side, and this and that, whatever, and then just like things happen naturally. You do stuff, you make friends, those friends want to come see you. Like there's no downside to just watching streams. There's only benefits to it.
It really
100%
does.
agree.
Yeah, it really does need to be organic too. It can't be. This can't be like a plan. You don't go in with
Yeah.
a plan, right?
Yeah, and I think too, thinking from a mental health perspective, right? If you're streaming to 3 people and you've been doing that for 2 years, 12 hours 3 times a week, and you haven't integrated in anyone else's community, that's so isolating. That's so lonely, and sometimes it's easier to become a really active community member than it is just to kind of be in your own little silo, right? So it almost benefits you in other ways too, right? That concept that we've talked about before of just needing social support, needing to feel a part of a community for your well-being, right?
True.
Streaming should enrich you.
Yeah.
It should be an enriching activity, not a torture.
It's with very few exceptions, humans are social creatures, right? Like we most of us, not all, no, you can't generalize, right?
Pathological, essentially, if
From
you
birth.
weren't a social creature.
From birth, yeah.
From
But like
birth.
most of us seek out, other people to hang out with. Even if you don't necessarily like the public at large, you still like certain
You like
people,
somebody.
right? So you like somebody, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
they can't all be shitty, right?
But then if you don't like people, why back to the question, why are you
Why are
streaming?
you being a streamer? Yeah.
This might not be the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
I think you're confusing this with something else that you're trying to accomplish. Actually, the for example, for me, like honestly, when people say like I don't like watch Twitch streams, then like my question to them is like, then why are you just not making YouTube content?
Yeah,
Why are you not making
yeah.
content? Why are you not doing something that? Why are you doing something that requires an audience if you do not wish to be part of an audience? Right? Again, it seems to me like but even then, even if you make YouTube content, I feel like you should at least watch other YouTube videos
And read
to
your
kind
comments.
of know what happens. Yeah, like read your comments.
It's
Yeah.
a social platform too, so
Yeah.
I don't think you can get away from it if you're in a content creation space. It's a social thing. It's
I
think
mean,
being
they
an
call it social
entertainer
media
in
for a
general.
reason.
yeah, it
True, yeah.
is. It is social. Even Twitch is a
Yeah.
social media. It may not be like what we consider a social media platform traditionally. It's like a new version of social media. It's like Discord and Twitch are like advanced forms of social media.
Evolved.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we the meta?
So
People are the meta.
People are the meta.
So supporting a stream, let's talk about you found a stream in a community that you like. The idea of supporting other people's streams is like tied directly within all of this. It's not just about becoming a friend to the streamer. It's also like wanting to see other people succeed, right? That's like a beneficial attitude you can have. If you're becoming close with people and you're chatting with streamers, you want to see them do well. and hopefully they want to see you do well as well. So being a supportive person doesn't necessarily mean you have to sub. It doesn't mean you have to give bits. It doesn't mean you have to like. I've seen people go all out like in with this and try to be like they drop money and they do this and then they feel like they have the right to maybe talk about the fact that they're a streamer too.
Yeah,
Mm.
like they're buying their way into
Yeah.
advertisement.
It's not even that. I feel like I I speak for me personally, but I think I kind of see this in other streamers as well. If all your interactions with a streamer are purely you throwing money at them, it still gets a little weird after a while because you're like you think like, why is this person just throwing money at me and not saying anything, right? Like they don't, if you don't interact meaning in a meaningful way with somebody, simply monetary support after a while just gets to be like, oh, this, there's that guy throwing bits again because he wants the TTS to read his silly jokes or whatever, like
Mm.
there's definitely like there's something weird about not interacting with somebody, but like just throwing money at them. At least okay, to me it feels that way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe other people are like, oh, cool, money. They don't care. I don't. Maybe that's just me, but
I guess it depends on what the motive seems like, you know. Um, I mean, sometimes people will use money just because of that like extra attention, but sometimes it's just because they're that kind of person, right? It's nice to have what we call a whale, right, in your stream. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I do think if it's more inclined towards like promoting something of theirs, then it definitely gets kind of weird for sure.
Yeah, well, it doesn't take long for those kinds of people to like reveal their motives. Like as soon as they do the thing, they're like, "Oh yeah, also check out my mixtape on SoundCloud."
Oh.
Like instantly, you know what I mean? Like,
True.
That sounds like a personal experience you've had, Pickles.
to be
no,
fair,
it's just
people come up to me in the subway and ask me to check out their mixtape. So you know what?
At least they're giving you money, right?
yeah.
So what you're saying is
There's a,
Twitch and the streets of New York City are the same.
Well, you
Oh,
kind
in
of
many
are
ways,
like
in many ways.
busing, right? That's the word, busing.
Busk.
Busking.
Busking.
Thank you. Busking. It is
think
kind of
I'm
like busking,
Yeah.
frankly.
Something completely different. I'm pretty sure.
bussing is cleaning up tables after people. Have
Yes,
eaten up
I'm
and-
sorry.
That's what I.
I'm not that smart.
I mean, it's like a talentless streamer. So let's talk about the networking aspect. I think that this is probably going to be the bigger discussion for all of us. You networking in general starts with this whole concept. You can't force networking in any other way. There's very few exceptions, like joining a community like IQ. But even that, even if you joined IQ and you were expecting networking to just happen on its own, it doesn't happen that way. All networking starts with forming a relationship because you're going to work together. You're going to co-create things together. You're going to have to talk to each other. You're going to have to get along. You're going to have to want to hang out with each other for a few hours at a time. Those relationships don't start with the master plan, right? So like if you want to make a podcast, you shouldn't message people about being on the podcast first. You should just watch their stream, be a presence in their chat, hang out with them a little bit, make sure that you feel like you jive using the stuff that's already open to you and to everybody. Go be supportive. Then maybe drop the message, hey, I really like your stream. It's probably be fun for us to maybe do a podcast episode or something. You ever want to co-stream, let me know. That's where networking really opens up and begins. It begins with this kind of relationship. If you can't fast forward it either, right? Have you guys? I think the most notorious like example of this is those people who try to message you to give you like art, like stream art.
That happened to me this morning, actually. I'm not even joking.
Clearly, you don't know who I am.
Yeah,
Yeah, happens to me too.
yeah.
So
I mean, we've got to the point of such good friendship. Sonny literally bullied me to be on here, right? And he just Snazzy, I need somebody for the podcast, and I'm like, sign me up. I'm kidding. He didn't do that.
kind
But,
of
like, no, but like, yeah, when you get to be really good friends with somebody, which, like, for example, I'm gonna use the three of you. When you get to know people, right, and you hang out in their streams, you absolutely wouldn't mind if one of them came to you and went, "Hey, I want to co-stream together." I'd be like, "Hell yeah, dude! Sign me up. Name, time, and place."
Yeah,
Right? Whereas if a complete stranger came up to me and went like, "Hey, I want to stream with you," and I'd be like, "Who are you?"
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know your content. I don't know if we're gonna like you said. I don't know if we're gonna jive together. Like, I don't know if
I don't know you.
yeah. So the true
Nothing.
networking, we're looking for people to co-stream and co-create things with. Really starts with you being a viewer, right? It starts with you. Have you guys had experience with this? I mean, I guess obviously, I probably I don't think I started as a viewer for everybody actually, um, but I was working with other people. So maybe let's try to use other examples. Did you guys have anybody that you found through this kind of relationship where they started out as a viewer and then you ended up either rating them or talking to them more outside of like began the networking relationship?
I mean, that's
Um,
like most of IQ for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
like very, very
Shout out
early
to IQ.
on, there was a viewer that I had who he was watching us do a lot of Risk of Rain streams and stuff. He was really obsessed with Risk of Rain, so he was watching a bunch of different Risk of Rain streamers. We were playing it. He was watching somebody else play it, and then he had that person raid us, and then we did end up like getting along and doing some Risk of Rain streams together. Um, Other than that, it's like me go following through on raids to meeting everybody else. Pretty much, like everybody I know, I've met through raids, just following raids, and then seeing like, oh, that person, I like them. I'll drop them a follow, and I'll keep watching. And then that eventually evolves into, that organic friendship, and then saying like, oh yeah, you want to do something together?
Do you want to stream together, kid? Like,
Would you like to scream with me?
yeah. It's like high school all over again.
I think this is where IQ members could probably benefit the most is by doing, if you want to network with people. I've had a lot of people in IQ say, oh, I really want to do this podcast, but I don't have anybody to do it with. And I'm like, there's almost 200 people in the IQ Discord. What do you mean you have no one to do? I've never even seen you ask. Just ask the question in the IQ Discord. Hey, do you want to? Does anybody want to? Like you, we've already created kind of a skip, so to speak, where we're all in this community together already. So you can kind of just drop the question generally there. We've created a space to kind of circumvent this whole like go be a viewer kind of thing. But you're better off, I think, still doing that process. IQ just kind of helps you narrow it down a little bit to finding people that might, at least they applied to join the community and that they're a little more serious and they want to improve their content and all of that stuff. So,
And you know that they also follow the rules. They don't. They're
yeah,
not. They're not Monka TOS. They're not.
that's another
You don't
good
have to worry
value.
about getting banned because you're streaming with some Yahoo who.
Yeah,
you know.
that's another way to look at being a viewer helps you kind of see if the streamer you could network with is going to be somebody that's going to be abrasive or break TOS on their own stream, then you could kind of maybe not ask them to do that kind of thing. So this is another value in going and trying to be a viewer on people's channels. You're giving yourself a better chance at seeing what the streamer is actually like.
Yeah.
And that's difficult to do, even if it's somebody you've known for a while. Like it's very difficult to get a gauge of what another person is thinking and doing. But you're certainly not going to get it if you don't ever watch them. Like then you're just guessing. Then then it's throwing darts at a board and hope something sticks. Uh, you have to if your mindset, right, if your thing is I want to network so that I can make more content with other streamers, it's like, yeah, you've got to be in those streams first. There's no way to skip the line, right? Because you're not the only one trying to do that. There's other people who are trying to do that who might have been in that community for a while, a lot longer than you have. They're probably gonna get there first before you, unless you hang out in the community. So that's just my take on it. But
And I think there's a role for cross-platform networking as well that we haven't really touched on. So, networking through things like Twitch or not Twitch,
Twitter.
Twitter, they sound way too similar. Twitter and Discord, so being part of someone's Discord community and being active there can be really, again, just
Same.
supportive of the community and able to make those more low-level connections with people, right? And Twitter's a little bit less fruitful from there, but you can still get a pulse of people and still connect with them, on multiple levels. That feeling of getting that follow back, right? on Twitter is an interesting one. So I
that
think
sweet,
too.
sweet serotonin.
Yeah, exactly. Get that retweet. People, looking at your stuff. But, I do think that there's ways of expanding beyond just Twitch when it comes to networking, but it should still be really a central part if that's your primary form of content delivery.
One
right?
thing I think we should probably touch on is that, because we haven't really clarified like a level of streamer, it's probably better for you to try to network with somebody who's closer to your average viewership, not like massively above you. Not, if they have like 30 to 50 more viewers than you do, they're gonna probably be inundated with this kind of thing already. It's better for you to try to find somebody who's closer to your level to try to network with, and support someone who's at your level. Again, this is like the concept of, you know, be the kind of viewer that you wish you had. And like you're not going to have a lot of success as a 3 to 7 viewer average going into like, some giant stream and trying this concept. That's not really going to work. So
There has
like,
to be a sense of mutual beneficial, like it being mutually beneficial.
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
It
It's
does.
official. It's like if I, for example, if Highly and Pickles says like, hey, if I go to Highly and Pickles and I go like, hey, Highly, let's stream Monster Hunter together, versus like, what if I'm not gonna go to like Admiral Baru and ask him to stream Monster Hunter with me? Like, people would laugh you out of that chat so fast. It's like it's just like at a certain point, right? Like you said, when a streamer's a certain size, they get inundated by so many, not just requests for like doing content and stuff, but just like they get inundated by so many other things that like you're dropping the bucket at that point. Unless if you've been there long enough, you can kind of get around that, right? Because like there are bigger streamers who sometimes stream with the people that they know, that they've known for a long time, even if those people aren't exactly bigger streamers themselves, right?
It's
Like
actually
that
rare that actually works too, where that person streamed and all of a sudden becomes a viable piece of content for viewers. Like very
Well, I think the benefit there though is if you are a larger streamer and you you do a co-stream with a smaller streamer, it gives that kind of like, oh, normal guy kind of vibe, right? Like this person's a kind person, and I don't know if that's really the benefit that they're looking for, but it kind of does give that vibe, like, oh, well, they're a cool dude. They're streaming with a little guy, right? And I don't know if that's always their intention, but I do think that's probably at least a piece of it for some of them.
yeah.
I
Now,
think some
can
of
we
them
be the
also-
little guy? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Right? That's a stretch.
And it's also like usually like low impact, like
Mm-hmm.
you get to relax a little bit and goof around with a friend, and not have to necessarily worry about metrics and all that other stuff.
Yeah. So I think we really nailed this one on the head, pretty straightforward through this so far. I do think that the advice, it's kind of sad to me that we have to tell people to do this, to even have this conversation. Like, to me, it was always pretty straightforward. Like, even when I began streaming from the beginning, I was going and watching other people's streams. And a lot of those people were viewers of my chat. They came in and I didn't even know they streamed. There's partnered streamers today. I had no idea that they even streamed, and they were supporting my stream back in the day. And I'm like, wow, you have like 800 people watching your stream. They weren't partnered then. They were just
Right.
in my chat. They just hang out, and then come to find out that they're like these giant or mid tier, if you're, Devin Nash streamers, that they're doing very well for themselves. So, it really is like there is a huge benefit to just be a viewer. Just go and support people's streams. I don't really know how else to say it. I just want to encourage people to not just stream. Be a viewer. Go watch streams. Go be inspired by streams. Start.
It's funny because like you say like you've encountered people who disagree with it, like with that philosophy, like oh you don't have to be a viewer, and like I've never run into those people, and I'm starting to think that's probably by design, because like why would I, right? Because they would never come to my stream, right? So like,
True.
I
True.
don't even know they exist.
It's true.
Yeah.
Never
yeah.
heard of them.
Yeah.
If at that point you're basically relying on the recommended channels on the sidebar on the Twitch to tell you that somebody's streaming, right?
Well, it's not even the people that there's people that disagree, but then there's just people who aren't doing it. They haven't even really thought about doing it. Like
Okay.
they're just streaming and hoping their stream works and putting a bunch of money into equipment and streaming and streaming and streaming and then complaining that no one's watching, and they're not a viewer. They're not a viewer. And those are the people I think that we need to talk to the most. Those are the people that need to have this advice and know. And then the people who are maybe going and being a viewer, they can see the benefits of what this kind of relationship and how they can kind of expand on it. I think a lot of streamers are a little bit afraid. Smaller streamers, they'll start doing this, they'll make connections, and then they'll never ask. They'll never get to the, hey, let's do a podcast together. It's like a very non-committal relationship. And then they get sad that their viewer friend never asks them. You know, you have to kind of be the one, you have to be proactive about what you want at the same time, right? And that's actually, someone just said in the chat, I think we should talk about that. You can go to scope out the competition. That there's some truth to that, right? It's not necessarily competition, but it's what they're doing right that inspires you to do more things right. You know, like when I see Hylian Pickles turn into a GameCube and talk as a GameCube, that
I haven't seen that. I need to see that now.
the techie version of me that tries to figure out all the cool tricks in OBS wants to know how to do that. And I did find out how to do it, but not through Hylian Pickles, indirectly through Hylian Pickles. So
It made you look, right?
well, yes, it made me look, but I didn't have to look far. Actually, I just got the code from one of my clients who you gave it to. And then I was like, oh, I get it. I know exactly how this works. And,
Yeah.
So I actually couldn't find the video on how to do it.
The video was
Although-
not fully helpful, but
Well, I gotta
I-
say,
I
like,
just-
go
on
ahead.
my own.
go Snaz.
No, sorry. I was just ending my thought.
Okay, I was gonna say like I know like we joke around in chat like what Flippy said about like scoping out the competition. Quite honestly, there are a bunch of streamers who if they were doing that to me, I'd be honored. I'd be like, oh, you consider me competition? Oh, excuse me,
I'm a threat. What?
threat.
I think also chat's bringing up some good points
Yeah,
too
let's
about
deal with
things.
that. We can
Yeah, so,
include
like,
chat this episode. There's plenty of time.
How do we approach someone like, or how do you manage the fear of rejection?
Yeah.
Because there's a chance that you'll ask and someone will be like, nah, sorry.
Asking
No.
in the
Right,
right
so-
context, time and place is super important. It's probably the most important thing. Time means you've made enough of a connection that you're not. It's less likely for you to get a rejection, and while they're live is a bad time to do it.
Yes, okay.
Please don't.
Do not
Because
go in.
I guarantee you've had somebody do that to you, and how awkward that feels. Now imagine how awkward it feels for when you do that to somebody else, right?
They're putting
Like-
you on the spot. Hey, streamer. Do you think someday we could play Halo together? And we could do it like we could co-stream and we could do a multi-stream and we could
I am
like,
cringing so hard right now because like that's what happens. It's like
yeah, it's a lot of pressure. You're putting a lot of pressure on the streamer. The streamer's already under a lot of pressure to try and have a good time and make sure everybody's cool, having a good time. Their stream's functioning, their internet's fine, their game isn't crashing, and now you're coming in and you're dumping like this next idea. Twitch chat is not the place to do networking, right? It's the place to start your relationship so that networking can open up. It's a door. You're opening a door to have that conversation later. So what's the right place to do this?
I would say maybe I don't know about right and wrong are kind of like relative terms here.
What's
But
the
I think
good place?
a good place is Discord. Streamers with active Discords usually read what goes on Discord.
DMs.
Most people read their DMs. I would say Discord is probably one of your best tools for getting to know a community and getting to know possibly a streamer or a friend or something like that. Because it does allow you to kind of it allows the streamer or the person you're interacting with to respond at their own pace, right? It's not putting them on the spot when they're live. It's not making them awkwardly go like, well, I'm streaming this right now, like all that's taken away. Like there's a much calmer, much easier way to talk to somebody when they're not in front of a camera.
And there's
And
no
they're more
pressure.
likely to be honest with you too,
True.
right? Because sometimes if
yes.
you say something on stream, they'll be like, "Yeah, sounds great," because
Oh,
they're trying
yeah.
not to be like a jerk.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be like,
polite.
"Nah."
Or they haven't thought about what you said. Somebody like
Yeah.
I'll say like somebody will like suggest a game to me. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And then maybe I'll go back later and go like, well, that's not something I actually want to.
Right.
I'll
Stream
think about
Fortnite.
it. I will think about it, but like asking them to think about it while they're live playing another game is a bad idea.
Yes, agreed.
And it's also very hard to, for the streamers. Sometimes they can easily make a mistake reading chat, so they may not even read what you said properly, and
I
respond.
feel personally
in
attacked.
You may get an inappropriate response from the streamer because they didn't really read what you said right. This is why Discord is another place to do it. And you'd want to try and you don't want to open up your conversation going back to like the people who are like trying to get you to make, a contract with them to do art or something. I get these messages all the time in Discord just from someone's random server. Like I'm just in someone's server. Or like I'm in a big server like the Stream Element server or something, and someone will message me and be like, hey, I'm this graphic designer. I make graphics for streamers. Here's my link to one picture of the things that I made once. Do you need any graphics for your stream? Here's my Twitter. And then I go to their Twitter and it's just like, I have no idea. Like,
I mean, they tried, right? They're trying, but oof.
There's two mistakes
Pay
people
for effort, but yeah.
There's two mistakes people make using Discord DMs. The first one is going way too far with everything all at once. And then there's the opposite direction where you just get the message that says, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Or like, can I ask you a question? That's my least favorite message. I get that when I get that in Discord. I'm like, just ask me the question.
What am I gonna say? No.
Yeah.
No, you
no.
cannot.
Yeah.
How do you query me
Like-
on anything?
I'm like, are you waiting for like me to have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like talk with you in voice? Or are you like, where are we? Who are you? I don't even know who you are. I've had to message like my clients and be like, this person messaged me from your Discord. Do you know them? Like before I respond, like, cause I don't even want to spend the time.
And if you are waiting for like somebody to have 5-10 minutes, just say that. I'll be like, hey, like I'd like to get on a call and chat with you about some stuff, an idea that I have. Like, don't beat around the bush too much is what I'm saying. Like be open in your DMs.
If you're gonna message somebody and that you want to start forming like a co-worker style relationship with, it's a good idea to be like, hey, I've been in your stream a few times and I really like what I'm seeing. This stuff has inspired me to do my own stuff, and I think you and I could maybe like do a podcast or something together. I'd like to see if you'd be down to do something like that, like short and sweet and to the point and open, like an inviting thing. You don't want to go like all the way and be like, hey, I'm doing a podcast. I want you to be on the next one. Like you don't dive all the way in. Just open the door and don't be so ambiguous that the person they may forget that like, hey, how's it going? Isn't an opener. That's fine.
It's not your icebreaker.
Yeah.
But that also begs the question of what if they say no? How do you deal with that?
Whew. Rejection.
People can say no.
They're gonna say
and
no.
that's-
People are
they're gonna
going to say no.
And you have to learn how to reflect on that and how to deal with that and move on.
You gotta just cry and get it over with.
You, and you just gotta get back in the ring, right?
just cry and move on.
But I think it's also an opportunity for reflection, right? So maybe you didn't do anything wrong.
It is possible.
But maybe you approached it wrong, right? Yeah. So having a chance to reflect, be like, oh, maybe I asked in a weird way, or trying to be reflective, but also kind to yourself to figure out if there's a better way to connect in the future, so that maybe you can improve your chances of connections happening well.
You did a good. Go ahead.
I hung out with Hylian Pickles so long before he asked me to play Monster Hunter with him. It took so long.
No, you do want a good balance of like forming a relationship and then trying to open the doors. You don't want to try and open these doors too quickly, because streamers are constantly getting bombarded, especially at certain levels, with requests. And you don't want to just become a part of that noise. You want to cut through that and have a relationship that's formed deeper than that. Like Snazzy said, it was much easier for me to be like, hey, Snazzy, I think you'd be good on the podcast. Come do the podcast with us. How do we make that happen? Then if I had messaged him probably the first time I ever dropped into his chat with a proposal like that, we wouldn't be here today, right?
I'm trying to think if I would or wouldn't. Listen, I probably not.
Yeah, probably
because I'd be
not.
Like, who is this guy that wants me on a? Why do you want me on a podcast? Like, I've never seen you in chat. Like,
right.
Do you know what I'm about? Do you know who you're talking to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a general disdain for podcasts, so it had to have been something that I would have been interested in, because, yeah.
That's how you know we're doing good, because Meats hates podcasts.
I don't hate podcasts, but, like, every, 30-something-year-old person's like, you get a podcast, so it has to be something that is interesting and I know is going to be well done, and as I know you, right? And I know that the quality that you create is something that I'm interested in. So that influences my decision, right? And
right.
Of course, I like you guys, so that helps.
Well, but and it's not just us talking about
that.
It's not just us talking about random stuff. There's like a real goal behind the podcast, which is to help people improve. So that helps too, right?
Which is sort of like piggybacking on that is like, if you are looking to basically start a business relationship with somebody, right?
That's
that's generally what Twitch is. You got to approach that like you would approach any other business offer, right? Like, you have to, otherwise, like, how it's not going to work out if you don't have any kind of plan to it. But at the same time, it's like you kind of have to. It's like it's this balance of like, hey, I'm trying to network without seeming like I'm networking, right? Because that's the thing, right? I'm trying to network and I'm trying to put myself out there to you and to everyone else, but without blatantly telling you, like, hey, here's me. Here I am. I stream too. It's like, and there are ways to do it. And I think one of the most meaningful ways is to interact in chat. Because I guarantee you interact in chat long enough, a scenario will come up to where you could, like, where the other guy will figure out that you stream. Or the other woman will figure out that you stream.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
It will happen.
Oh, for sure. You don't have to advertise that you're a streamer ever.
Yeah, you don't.
You don't.
No. The only time I think that it's appropriate to advertise that you're a streamer is like as soon as you raid in and like the 5 minutes that follow, and then like don't talk about it anymore unless it comes up naturally.
That's the best way to self-promote. Raid them.
Yeah.
Raid, host, yeah.
Because that's how people will know that you're a streamer, just by the nature of it. The
other good ways are to tweet their stream out when they're live and be like, hey, I'm hanging out in this stream today, guys. Everybody go over to this stream if you want to hang out with me over there. Promote their stream. That streamer is going to see on Twitter that you tagged them in the post, and that they're going to be curious and they're going to click on your profile. Most people who come into my chat, I figure out if you're a streamer like within minutes. Because I click on your name and I go to your channel.
Oh, it's Stalker Sunny. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. I'm always curious if somebody's a streamer or just some random viewer or a troll or something. Because I'm more likely to know how to treat you if you have no profile picture and no information, no links and nothing. in your chat, and you're not well, you used to be able to see who people were following, which gave me a lot of information, right?
Ooh, I didn't know
Now you
that.
can't
Ooh,
see.
Stacy.
Now you can't see who people are following. So, if they're following like 3 other streamers, maybe they're new to Twitch, kind of thing. You can't get that anymore. So, yeah. I need to find good channels to lurk in. No, I have plenty of good channels to lurk in.
Here's the thing about networking that I don't think we've addressed, that I think is probably the reason a lot of people who are tentative about it, is that when you talk about it in these kinds of ways, it comes across as shallow, which it shouldn't. It's not supposed to be shallow. Like everything we've said, it's like integrate yourself into the community, just be a part of something, do this, do that, make friends, and then the rest will just come. It's not necessarily like, okay, just pop into a random channel, be there for a week, and then at the end of that week be like, hey, do you want to stream with me? It's actually just like
It's weird. Yeah.
be a part of things. Like you can't network without being a viewer, right? And then the next step after that is just be a part of stuff. Be a part of everything. Like I would say like 90% of my viewers are viewers I see on all of the other channels that are connected to this community.
This is
Right?
a good point.
I can go to any one of our friends and see someone there that I know, like for sure.
This is actually a really good point. There's another value that we didn't hit, and it's this: that when you go and hang out in other people's streams and you have the similar viewers, people are reminded that you exist, and they go, "Oh yeah, there's Eat Your Meats. Hi,
This
Eat Your Meats."
surprises me constantly. Actually, sometimes I'll even go into a new stream. Like there was a couple of people that I was like, oh, I feel like their name's familiar. Or they're recommended. I hadn't been in there before, and I like popped in, and I'm like, oh, hey, you're streaming such and such, and like 3 people were like, meats.
Yeah, that people know who you are.
Really?
Yeah,
They know who
yeah.
I am.
So it's
so
actually
weird.
a way. It's like an extension of your own stream to go be a viewer and hang out in people's chats. And
I'm both humbled and I hate it when I go into like a stream that I haven't really hung out before, and I'll finally work up the courage to actually interact with them, and then like immediately one of our friends who I didn't even know them like barrels and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh god.
It's very weird. It is very weird. It takes a lot to get used to, like if you've kind of created that network. But I try to do it for other streamers too. Like if I'm in someone's chat and I see someone I recognize, I'll be like, hey.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it kind of creates that
Yeah.
feeling of community across the spectrum. You know, so trying to say hi to people that you see as a common like streamer viewer really helps forge a connection too, even if it's in a stream that you haven't really been in before.
Yeah, you
Or
want to
like
talk about
if you recognize a name, networking is as simple as just acknowledging that you see them here in this other channel.
Yep.
Like you were over here and now I see you over here. Hello.
yeah.
Now like you've established that you recognize each other, right?
It's more
That creates
common.
a connection.
Twitch chat Waldo. I love that.
Where's
It's a little more common in between IQ streams. Infinite quality streamers you're more likely to run into the same viewers and the same people bouncing around between certain streams. You're gonna see it, but it even happens outside of the IQ streams. Like we don't tell people only raid and watch IQ streamers. This is just advice, generally speaking. It have nothing to do with what team you're on or what communities you're a part of. This is just what you do. You go around Twitch and you hang out with streams and streamers that you like, and you hang out with viewers. You're going to meet new viewers, people that will potentially come and watch your stream, and you're going to continue to form relationships and remind people that you exist, which is the most important thing. If you go around in people's chats and you're talkative and you're chatty, those viewers that had popped into your stream once will be reminded of you, and that's really valuable to stay kind of relevant. So there's actually a lot of value here.
Also, like if you know that somebody, like if you figure out that one of your viewers is a streamer, like engage them on that as well on your stream. Be like, hey Doc, I saw you were streaming Resident Evil the other day. How are you liking it? Right? Like there's ways to like allow for that like almost pseudo self-advertising that like happens naturally by like opening up to and being like, hey, listen, I know that you stream. I know I've seen you in other chats, like interact with people. That's the fundamental core of my argument is just interact with people.
Yeah. I like if streaming comes up naturally in the conversation and the streamer is inviting that conversation, it's okay to talk about that you stream. They're setting that rule by talking about that. If they're not talking about streaming, just coming out of nowhere and being like, "Oh yeah, also I'm going live in 5 minutes." That's weird. That's not what you do, right? But if somebody's like for instance saying like, "Oh, I heard the new Resident Evil was good," and then you have the opportunity to be like, "Oh yeah, I just started streaming it yesterday." Like that's a pretty natural way to have that conversation.
Mhm.
And it doesn't need to continue about how you are streaming, but you're talking about Resident Evil in a way that you can relate to it, right?
I mean, even that,
And it's
I
natural.
might cringe a little bit if somebody said that.
Yeah, but
it
I
might
mean,
be
like,
better to say, I started playing that.
Yeah, it depends on
Yeah.
how big of a like connection you have with that person already. I wouldn't go into like some rando's chat and do that, but I know that like there are certain
True.
people that I've connected really deeply with that
They
like,
wouldn't mind.
frankly sometimes just ask me like, "Hey, when are you streaming again? Did you stream
Yeah.
this yet?" You know,
Yeah,
like,
if you-
obviously you're gonna answer there.
It's about reading the relationship level. Like if you don't want to promote that you're a streamer at all, if the streamer doesn't know that you and hasn't promoted you and all of that, like if it's not already well known that you're a streamer, bringing up that you stream at all in chat is a bad idea.
Yeah, they can be awkward. But my main point was just like try to read the room.
Yeah, read the room, yeah.
I don't know how to give people proper advice on that because I feel like
It's hard.
it's
It can be hard.
Advice on that. Watch more streams.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Easy.
be observant. Yeah, that's true.
No,
That's
serious.
true.
Like watch what other people do.
Yeah.
Because some people are a lot more sensitive about it than others too.
Yeah,
like
for
I
sure.
don't care, right? For the most part, unless it's like a random person that's like, "I'm about to stream," I'll be like, "And you're about to leave this chat." Like, but in general,
Can you raid me when
You're about
done?
to leave
I'm
this
like,
chat
no.
forever.
Yeah, there's just certain social hurdles that people have, but like learning to read the room comes with being from watching streams. Like Snazzy said, like just watch things, be places, learn the language and the culture of the streams that you're in to see what's acceptable behavior or not, generally speaking, on Twitch. Like it all feeds together.
Yeah, it really is one
Yep.
big holistic thing.
And it's funny because like I've had it happen to me, and I know I do it to other people too. But like I said, like if you're good enough friends with somebody, if you've interacted with somebody's stream long enough, I guarantee you will go into that stream and they'll say your name, right? You'll get that validation. I have a couple of streamers who like whether or not I want to, if I say something in their chat, they're gonna be like, "Oh, hey, there's Snazzy. Go check him
Yeah,
out."
go
right?
check
'Cause,
out
like,
Snazzy,
we've
yeah.
established that rapport.
That also
with each
means
other,
that they
right?
like you and they've watched your
And
stream.
they like you enough,
Yeah.
right? Clearly, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be saying that, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hope that this has been helpful for people in general. We should wrap up with some closing thoughts here. So, who wants to go first? Does anybody have anything, a good summary or things that maybe last piece of advice? You got a brand new streamer and they want their stream to be great and they want to have people to stream with. What do you tell them? What's the good summary? You want to start, me?
join IQ.
join IQ, guys.
Yeah.
IQ is your leading group of streamers that support each other, and
Imagine we talk about IQ on the IQ podcast.
Imagine
oh, we actually this is like the first time we've done it more than just like
a
momentarily.
passing, yeah.
My general thoughts is start out being a viewer first. It informs your stream. It informs communities. It informs etiquette. It informs the Twitchverse of how to Twitch, right? Right. And then really form those relationships. Join a Discord. Be part of that group, especially if you're wanting to kind of court someone to stream with you, right? Raid into them. Take an active interest in what they're doing and form that relationship, and the rest will come, right? Being a good citizen of Twitch makes you a good leader of Twitch.
Very, very nice. Pickles?
Well said. I don't know if I have any closing thoughts. I mean, just like re-listen to this episode or something. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Like, be a viewer to learn the etiquette, then execute the etiquette that you feel is appropriate. Like, learn to read the room, basically.
Yep.
You have to
Snazzy?
be in the room in order to read it.
True. True.
Be in the room to read it. You can't be hanging outside the window just staring in, like, it's creepy. You got to be in the room. I would say, like, yeah, so start out by being a viewer, but even more so than just like being a general viewer of Twitch, a general consumer of that content, like join a community. Join a community. Like, look at like people who stream, like, like, for example, I'm just gonna say IQ as an example, but there's plenty of other communities that develop that
Sure.
aren't IQ, right? Join a community, be a viewer of those communities, and that'll help you immensely, not just with making connections and with networking, but as Meats alluded to earlier, it'll make you feel like you're not like trying to do this thing on your own, right? It's not like you're not trying to do this like impossible task all on your own, because at the like you'll have somebody you could turn to and go like, hey, listen, I need your advice on this, or like, hey, do you want to stream this, or hang out and do that. So like, I would definitely say, like, start off by joining a community on Twitch. Like, that should be your number one thing to do.
It could be as simple as like the Dark Souls community itself.
Dark Souls, yeah.
Get
and things like that.
embedded in a community, right? Like speedrunners.
You can even just lurk for a while. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to go to a stream and chime in. You can lurk for
Yeah.
a while in order to be a part of the community.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a social thing that we're creating. Streaming is social, so go be social. It starts with you. Expecting that people are going to come and support and watch and hang out in your stream, and not doing it for other people. I mean, you're just asking for the universe to be like, look at that irony.
You're not special, right?
Yeah.
You're not. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, not that
No
special.
one is special.
Yeah.
It's like,
Don't be that person that just like expects everyone to hang out and show up for you, but you don't do it for anyone else, because irony will just really ruin everything. It wants to. That's
Again,
at least from what I've seen.
treat Twitch people like you would treat your friends offline. Don't
Yeah.
just because they're somebody who isn't in in your physical vicinity and in your physical group, doesn't mean they're not people. They're still people just like anybody else. So.
Yep. Okay, that was a good episode. Very, very insightful. Thank you guys. I'm just going to close out by inviting people to join Infinite Quality if they want to come have conversations like this. We have a Discord. We have a website where people post all kinds of fun tutorials, and we've got art and media that you guys can download to upgrade your stream. Infinite Quality is a community that is open to affiliates to apply, as long as you're not breaking TOS and you seem like you're going to fit in. Go ahead and go to infinitequality.live and click the apply button. And I want to encourage everybody to check out the Casual Friday streams, as well as the rest of the YouTube videos. I've been making videos on how to do stuff like this podcast using OBS, and how to do how to just make your microphone sound better, all that kind of stuff, the general how to stream better stuff. So yep, all of that's on our website, infantquality.live. That's the episode. Thank you guys for being here in chat. We do this every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys want to join us in chat, come ask questions. Even if you're not an Infinite Quality member, we invite you to come hang out. And we'll see you in the next one. Oh,
If you ever have ideas too, if you have things that you want to hear about, post it up
Yeah.
in the IQ channel as well. Or
yeah, there's a
message us.
suggestions channel in the IQ
Roll that
Discord.
at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to know what you want us to talk about too.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. Say goodbye.
Bye.
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 At the very end, just join IQ.